Okay, so this video is going to be about a week long, and if all goes well, I'm hoping that you guys will see the tent in this video, but I'm not sure. So we got a delivery last night. We did get the rear brake pads in. Unfortunately, the caliper won't be here till Friday. We got the front speakers in. We got this thing that I told you I was going to get, and we're going to take the cover off and remove that. But this basically replaces the cigarette lighter that there's no point. Cleans up a lot of wiring. You see all that? We're gonna do away with all of that. Get rid of that. We're gonna probably, I know we're gonna have to pull the whole thing and whatnot, so I might pull the, well, I don't know. I might not, because, I mean, I'm gonna install that, but I'm gonna at least get the speakers in today. This is the wire harness for the new radio. This goes in place. I might just do these two when the radio comes, and then I wanted to get the rear pulled apart. I'm gonna let this sit here. We got a job here and I got a job coming in over there. So probably just gonna leave this in here all week because it's raining and shit weather. It's like 60 degrees and I'm not happy with it. But in the beginning of this video, I wanna start with the EGR delete. Since this car isn't gonna be driving for a while, whether I get it done today or not, we're gonna go through and do this EGR delete. And basically the way that I do this is I leave everything in place and I just put a block off plate. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to take those two, looks like 12 or 13 millimeter nuts. We're going to take those off, pull the valve off, see how the gasket looks. Looks like it was getting wet in there somehow. Maybe that was from when I pulled the coolant thing off. But yeah, I'm going to get those two nuts off. We're gonna pull this vacuum line. Now the key is to make sure that the EGR valve still works and has lift. 12 millimeter to get these nuts off. So what I do to give me some more leverage is I'll step it up to a 3/8 drive so I can get it. But let's see how filthy this thing is. Definitely see some crud and shit down there, but let's get this vacuum line. Somehow, one of these vacuum lines has to come off. Probably get the one off of this side, but you still need it to function. So just get yourself a little pick and stick it in there. But I'm gonna clean this entire surface off because obviously that's not gonna do what I need it to. And then, yeah, get this old gasket out of here. We'll get all that cleaned up down in there. I have stuff for that, get it all vacuumed out. All right, so it appears as if it might have been leaking at one point, so I'm gonna get all of that cleaned off. I'm gonna show you guys what we did over here. I got two gaskets on order. Now, the reason I order two is because I wanna block this thing off on both sides. I get that you can use any material you want. So we got this thing all nice and cleaned up. You can see here, this is my favorite tool ever. Use this with caution though. This will take off material when it's brand new, but once you start wearing it down, it will not take off material. So you can see how nice that came out. So we're gonna use this on the block surface. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a gasket down. This is exactly how I used to do it. I'm gonna put a piece of steel between it, and then I'm gonna put another gasket on top. So this is blocked on both sides, not just one. And the reason I do that is I wanna block the EGR valve itself, and I want to block the block itself. Granted, it may be unnecessary. It's probably unnecessary. But, so the other thing, you don't need to use two gaskets. You can just plop a gasket here and block all this shit out. I'm going to vacuum that out before we go ahead. I'm going to vacuum all that shit out, to be honest. Throw the gasket down, then throw the block off plate over top of it, and then you should be good. Now, I want to keep everything, the reason I'm double gasketing it, I want to keep everything, you know, from getting into this thing as well, because you guys can see this thing lifts up, lets stuff go into here. I just want to protect this, so I'm going to use the double gasket method, one on both sides. So that keeps like anything from like moisture and shit getting inside of here as well. You don't have to do that. So I got a piece of steel cut out. What we're going to do is we're gonna try to cut, and I wanna make this as perfect as I can because you don't want this to be something that they see. You know what I mean? This isn't exactly legal. So Luckily, Honda isn't like any of the newer vehicles, and you can actually delete this thing as long as you keep it in place. The only thing the system checks for is lift up and down. It doesn't check for flow, so makes it super easy. You don't even need to get a tune. All right, as you can see, we have everything cut out. Now we can take this out of the vise. We can get the fucking bike out of the way and just start cutting. All right, so basically it's gonna go gasket, this piece, and then that'll sit down there and lay like that. It matches the gasket perfectly. I made this, so there you go. If you guys need something like that, let me know. I just cut them out and shit. But so while we're waiting on the EGR stuff to come in, which you guys have already seen it because I'm gonna put that stuff first, I got the new speaker in. I didn't film it. These things are super easy. There's a bolt right here, a bolt right here, and then the rest of it's just clips. You got to pull this out. It comes out and then goes like that, and then there's a little clip in there, a plug. Looks like I plugged it in. Good. And then there's two plugs here, and then there's a wire harness back behind that. So I got this all removed for now. You see how dirty that is? I'm going to be going through, since this piece is permanent, I'm going to go through and clean it. Might even paint it. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to paint these black because these are going to get replaced with black as well. I don't know. I want to at least get it clean, get all this sticky residue off. So we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, I'm only replacing all four of the door things. So might leave them, might not, might just leave. Yeah, I think you know what? I'm good at dropping shit. All right, so this side's done. I got a lot more of it off. I used glue gun and a plastic razor blade. Got a lot of it off. I'm pretty sure I got most of it, or if not all of it off. It just a little bit of residue. But over here, going through, replacing these speakers. These are 15 watt. So the new ones are 30. I fucked up buying 30s. Walmart had 40s, and I didn't know what I was ordering until it's too late. So these 300 watts, but 30 RMS, unfortunately. I'm beginning to wonder, this speaker was quiet compared to that one, so I don't think that these speakers, anything is wrong with these. I'm pretty sure something's wrong with the radio because when I put it on all left, it's super quiet. So I'm gonna install this one, and if this one's loud, then we know we have a problem with the radio or the wiring somewhere. But take that butt connector, and we are not using any of the new screws. We're gonna use the factory screws. So just to prove a point, left speaker's on.
So don't show dirt worth every dime I spent. I was gonna drive it till the wheels fell off. Yeah, that was before she slammed the door, said it's over. I need one, she ain't climbed.
Yeah, I think something's fucked up with this radio because the rear right's not doing anything. Rear left is. Yeah, that radio is definitely fucked up because this one gets a ton of power, that one gets a ton of power, that one gets a little bit, that one gets a little bit. So I think we definitely have some radio problems. And before anyone thinks, oh, did you hook the wires up correctly? You can switch the wires around and it does the same exact thing. So definitely think that we have a radio problem. Gonna get that taken care of. So let's throw everything back together. We have the speakers in. All right, so we just got the EGR stuff in. Because saying with the doubled up gaskets, you don't have to do that. I just am choosing to. So it's a little bit different than this gasket. You can see this is the gasket that I used, but not really a big deal. I actually think they're two different brands. So we're gonna go slap this thing on real quick. I'll show you guys how it works, and we will have. All right, so let's get it. First things first, gasket. You gotta get these perfect, otherwise it'll fight you. There you go, gasket's on. Next bet, EGR block off plate. And then, like I said, gonna throw that one on there just to keep this guy safe. I've said it a couple times now, but there you go. That's how she's gonna look. Throw this nut back in here. I ordered 2 gaskets, I'm gonna use 2 gaskets. People are probably thinking, oh man, you're nuts. Oh no. Oh, thank goodness. You lose one of these nuts, you're done for. I don't really have many 12mm nuts lying around. Very rare size. Now if that's in there, take this little guy here, screw that down there. We're gonna torque this thing down as tight as I can get it because I know it's never coming back off again. Got her snug down. Throw our little hose back on top. Throw this guy in there. And look at that. Now as long as someone's not looking for it. Oh, the EGR valve's there, all right. We won't have an issue. All right, so I've decided that we're just gonna pop these bad Larrys out of here. Pull that out. So this one is the passenger side. You see that ball joint's still okay, pretty decent. There's grease in there, but replace them in pairs. So this one over here, you got to take this 10, this 10, this 10, that 10, and this little clip to get this bad Larry out of here. And there's one 17mm right there, and there's one 17mm underneath of there. So I'm gonna try to get this out of the way. And actually, you know what? I'm an idiot. I could have just fucking, apparently there's a clip here. So apparently that doesn't need to come out, and that apparently doesn't. Okay, so that 10mm didn't have to come out, but this one does. So you pull those out of there, and then boom, it's right there. So this guy here, all you do is you take this 17mm off right here. Look at that ball, dude, that's a lot of slop. That's a lot more than I thought it was. So we'll take this bad Larry, put her under there. Same thing with the other one. This can go back on. And now I set myself up to where I'm on jack stands on the pinch thing, and then this is here. So that way this wheel can't just go outwards and ruin the axle. But yeah, here's the old. Wow, we got really lucky. Curious on something. How close was I to dying? Not too bad. Alright, there was still some life left in there. But it's been like that for a while. That would explain the shaking at 80. So now, this thing can sit here without these. Now these are coming Friday. You can see I can shake the wheel. So those will be easy. And then I can literally just slap those in, literally a 2-second job. And then the rear caliper, remove that. Everything in my shop has its own cart. That has a cart. Look how nice, look how organized this cart is. Look at that. All them bolts, the oh shit clips for the transmission. But you get the point. Caliper, if the control arms come Friday, and the caliper comes Friday, we're gonna install them on Saturday. But if anything comes earlier, I wanted that to be ready because this is all I need to be able to drive it. And then that, we'll throw the new pads in probably Saturday when this thing gets tint. Looking forward to that. Yeah. All right, so this control arm came in. We got that one in with the nice new nuts. Go figure, they sent the one first that you know, actually wasn't fucked up, but it is what it is. The only thing I don't like, if you guys look in there, look how low that cotter pin hole is compared to where this is tightened down at. So that's interesting. I got these as close as I possibly could to match the other ones before I installed them, and then tightened these nuts down in here. But you could probably get them in the car. I got them as close as possible. I'm gonna go get cotter pins for this one. The other side still hasn't come in yet. Mind you, this is a few days down the road. We won't have this thing back together until Saturday, but we're gonna put the new condenser in now. You guys can see the big hole in it. And then the last thing to get this thing through inspection is the exhaust. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. What kind of exhaust am I gonna put on this thing? So, I finally decided on what I'm gonna do, all right? So Spec D tuning was the exhaust that I used to run on my last car, only I had a gutted cat and a header and all this other stuff. So all we're gonna do is I'm gonna order the $150 Spec D tuning exhaust. It's a full catback exhaust, but unfortunately it's 2.5 inches. Now, to combat this, I'm gonna put two 12-inch resonators right before, so we're gonna cut out the resonator it comes with and put actual resonators in there, and we'll see how it is with the stock cat. It shouldn't be hatefully loud. If it's too loud, I'm gonna cut the cannon off and we'll go with a twin loop muffler, but I wanna get that on here, and then we're gonna keep the factory cat until it blows out. Then down the road, maybe we just do a high flow cat or something, or just replace the cat with a resonator. I don't know yet, but with this thing getting a turbo kit, I felt the 2.5 inch exhaust is gonna be okay. So we're just gonna run that with the two resonators, see what happens. So this car will definitely have AC though. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, delete the AC, delete all this and that. No, we'll do that all stuff on the bike, everything delete wise, but on the car, nah, I want this thing comfortable as shit, and I want it to make all of the turbo. So I'm gonna show you guys something. And this might not be the preferred method, but you guys see this condenser here, all right? The only thing that I did was take these two bolts off the top and these two bolts off the top and slide this out of the way. Now, I'm gonna come down here, get all that shit out of the way. This car doesn't overheat, and I don't think I've ever had an Accord that did. But all you really gotta do is take, another reason I got rid of this, but there is gonna be an intercooler sitting here eventually. But yeah, so this line here, and then this line right here, two 10mm bolts. You gotta take this bracket off, which sits back behind. This holds the condenser down. Take these, swap them over to the new one, take those bolts out, and then it literally will slide down in. You just gotta watch this one right here. So I don't know if I'm gonna put that one in first or last, but when I pulled it out first. This bastard's pressurized. Ready? There we go. There we go. It's a little scary there for a second. You never know what's gonna pop. I had on condensers, like it physically, boom, sounds like a gunshot. So I'm not telling you guys how to do it, but I have lubricant in stock, the oil for it. As you can see, when I pulled that condenser, it sprayed oil everywhere. You can see it's coming out of that one. So what I did, I just filled this up and then just let it all soak in. Let that all go down in there. That way, at least we're putting a little bit of oil back in it. No, I didn't weigh it or anything like that. But this rad is new, but it definitely got some marks on it, but it's all good. I'm gonna clean out down in there and throw this new one in. All right, so we did some come along pulling. Got this clearanced. This is close. I'm gonna fix that when we actually do the headlight, finish that off, and then pull the rest of it. I got this all pulled out so nothing is touching the condenser. Condenser is down into its little home. And then these guys are popped on, and then I also went and put a new zip tie on this. I have those ones that go down in and you can put a grommet on them. So I did that. Everything is done. Headlight zip tied in. Don't worry, they're gonna get replaced with aftermarket ones. It's just a temporary because this mount, it's all broken. So it's gonna get replaced with a nice set. Other than that, now we have a nice new condenser. Probably bend that back into place. Those horns are gonna get relocated, and we're gonna be doing a lot of trimming in here anyway once we get the intercooler in. But this will be a couple of months. We probably won't be running a bumper for a while just because it's gonna be hard to match all that up. So we'll see. Slow and steady, she's coming together. Just need this control arm, and the caliper should be here today for the back, so we can put the brand new brake pads in the back. Should up our mileage quite a bit. All right guys, so this should be coming today. It's now Saturday. We got brake pads. This was in the trunk, so we're gonna reuse that. And we finally got our caliper. And I did check and make sure that this is the correct caliper. It is. It's left side. You can see that the breather's on the top. You never know with some of these companies what they might send. But we're gonna go through, I'm gonna get this brake done first, then we're gonna do that brake over there because that's the one that needs the part. So hopefully this goes smooth. Brake pads are easy, but replacing a caliper on a Honda, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I do know that the parking brake is in there, so you gotta twist this. It's not as simple as just pushing it back in, which I do have the tool for it. So we're gonna do this side first, get that caliper squeezed in, and then this side's fine. I know that side's locked. This side's fine. So everything looked good over here. There was a little piece in here that was touching the rotor that is no longer touching. It's quiet. So always grease your slides. Pulled these out, took care of them. I do put grease on these things here. People are gonna argue it. Don't do that, don't do that, shut up, I don't care. I'm gonna do it. Now all I gotta do is squeeze this guy back in, clean that all up in there, and throw it back on. Well, it turns out I didn't have the tool. I had this guy, so I went up to Harbor Freight, grabbed this, only to realize that this caliper sees too. I did some checking on these brake pads here, and you guys can see that they're a little worn, like it's not an even wear the whole way down. So, said fuck it, got on the old Amazon, found another one, $61. I paid $70 for this, so $130 later. Caliper will be here Monday. I'm probably just gonna throw this wheel back on. I'm not gonna reuse that on these brand new pads. I'm gonna go and get the other side done real quick. All of that's greased, but looks like we're not getting this car back today. But at the very least, I can go get the other side done, and then we'll worry about bleeding this Monday. Sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so some things just genuinely suck. All right, so you can see I actually had to cut this off. All right, and we just saved the rotor because you can see that there's still pad left, just enough to be able to reuse this rotor. Now, keep in mind, we're just getting this car running and doing all of the maintenance now. Down the road, I do plan on throwing, and I have the whole kit ready to be ordered. I'm not doing it right now because the fronts are perfect. But I'm gonna be ordering all new, everything in drilled and slotted. I have it all ready to go, but here's where we're at. So had to cut the caliper off, make sure you don't hit any of the lines. Dude, those bolts, this one back there, doesn't even exist anymore. So I cut both of those, got the caliper out of the way. Now, next step, that bolt back here is stripped. So I had a 13 on it, which isn't even the correct size anyway, I don't believe, but had a 13 on it and it's stripped. I had to pound that 13 on because of all the corrosion on it. So now, we got it. Had to use my turbo sockets. Pound that on there, all good. The bottom bolt is a different size. So it is what it is. Once this stuff's done, it'll be nice. But in the meantime, you just gotta get through the nitty gritty. We're gonna be replacing these shocks and springs for the lowering springs and just brand new shocks because I don't know if there's any spring left to these. But at the bare minimal, at least this side will be done, and then Monday I can just throw the other caliper. All right, so we don't have any time left. I had to go to AutoZone and just get a new caliper and this. Parts were supposed to be in. Still waiting. Stuff should be in this week, so it's like I just ordered it twice because I really just need to get this car back. We got to go to Virginia today, and everything should be done. We got the oil change done. The only thing I won't have is AC on the way down there. Not super worried about that. But I'm going to get this other caliper done. This one, like I was saying the other day, I had to cut it off. But these bolts in the back were kind of trash. So I am going to go through and clean them up with that guy there. And that. Go clean them up, throw the new caliper on, and then I just got to bleed everything. I accidentally also ordered 2 left sides, so AutoZone is going to drop off, because we have the commercial account, they're going to drop off the other one to go to the right side. My dumbass went in there and went the front right and the rear left, and I was like, no, I actually need a right and a right. So my bad. But yeah, let's get this all thrown together, and then we got to load this thing up with tools. Gonna try to keep everything organized, probably take one of these carts with me, depending on the way it's gonna go. I need my scanner, I need a bunch of other tools. So let's get the front done first so I can get it off of this stand here. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I wanna get it off the front, and then we can finish the caliper in the back. All right, so I don't miss doing these, but this side's finally done. Gonna let this gravity bleed for a little bit, make sure I have some fluid. Front's all done. Now we just gotta do the other side. And yeah, this is all good. I cleaned off all the bolts, blew Loctite on these and the caliper bolts. I also went and took the cover. Guys, I'm telling you, if you have a shop, this thing, wear it down on some metal first, but this thing is great. Or use it on something that's super aggressive first to kind of like break it in. But that thing takes off so much bullshit. Here's the other one. Like, this one's not as bad, but I'm still gonna go over it. The other one was super rusty crusty, and then I gotta go find another bolt, and I just snapped this guy. I've snapped that enough now that I think it's time to upgrade to either Milwaukee or, actually, you know what? That one might have been, I don't know if that was Harbor Freight or that was Milwaukee, but whatever. So this side's done. Just waiting on the other one. We'll be able to drive the car today. Just waiting on AutoZone to drop off my other caliper. And then I'm probably gonna get the front down, and then I tried to match this as best as possible to the other one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this thing put down, and you guys can also see the difference between the AutoZone one. Getting distracted here, but see how low that is compared to this one over here. The cotter pin hole is like perfectly on line, so it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, I'm gonna get it down on the ground and lift each wheel up, keep them at ride height, and then loosen these nuts and bolts up here, because you don't want premature wear from these bushings doing that. So gonna do that. Once everything's done, we can drive it, go make some money. All right, dudes, we got everything done. Wow, this car rolls. I've had this thing down since last Friday or Saturday, and it rolls. I did get it on the ground and loosened up the control arms and readjusted them so that way there's no premature wear. We got the backs done. I let it gravity bleed. You could see all the air coming out. And then once it stopped, don't think I'm gonna put the grill back in, because why put an old grill back in when we have a new one coming? So no sense doing that. I'm gonna leave any of the Honda parts on this cart. I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up before we leave. I did not use the new bracket. I just re-greased all of the old ones on the bracket because there was no way I was getting those bolts off, and it's just not worth opening a can of worms. So what I'm gonna do before we leave for the day is I'm gonna pull everything off of here. And since I'm going on this trip, I'm gonna install this Bad Larry here. It is green to match everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, because I definitely want a charger and I don't have any blocks. So not that I use them things anyway, but let's get this off. Looks like somebody had already taken those off. So this has been off at one point. So, and then I'm gonna take the 2 screws that are under here on this thing off, because there's absolutely no point in having them. So I know this has been out at one point. You can see that. That's not supposed to do that. Also, these, there's a little clip right here. See, it has an LED sized hole that goes on the top right here. And then there's one that goes back in here that lights up. So when you open that up on the other side, it lights through. So we're gonna keep those. We're gonna unscrew this, and then you just need to butt off of these 2 connectors right here. One's a positive, one's a negative. And unscrew this, screw in the new one. I'll show you that in a minute. I might not even need to, yeah, I might not even need to change the tips out on the one. So, yeah, this one I'll definitely need to change. I cut myself there, I don't know how. All right, so I just fired it up. Wherever my key went. We have solid brakes, and if you guys notice, ABS light is out. Lost that light. We have no brake light. Last thing I gotta do is short this thing out because fuck that. Are you kidding me? Well, that was working, so now I'm gonna have to pull this whole thing back out. I don't know why that's not working now. Okay, so now it's on. Hold on a second. Turn this off. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. All right, we are loaded up everything. We have everything to swap out a solenoid block in a 68 RFE automatic transmission. So we're gonna be going to do that. We'll see, I'll probably bring this guy too, just in case I wanna film. There we go. And let's go do a test drive in the car. Your boy's gonna go home, get a shower, grab some clothes to do the job, and then I'm gonna grab some clothes to change into. That way I'm not getting into my car dirty. I do not want this thing filthy at all. So we're driving it now. ABS light did come back on. I think there's a problem with the connector up at the cap, or at least I think there is. So just gonna drive it, see what happens. We got plenty of gas to get down and back, or at least should be able to on this tank. So yeah, those two lights will be out, and then I do need to go get an alignment because it still has a slight pull to the right. But everything's been done, everything's tight. Low pull, but it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed. Honda build, we're getting pretty close to starting to get to the fun stuff. So all the boring stuff is done now, other than get the ABS light out, and after this, I mean, start throwing fun stuff at it.